Getting rid of free services, adding lots of upcharges, making hotels more exclusive, and making it harder for frequent visitors. Disney's definitely acting like they don't want your money, but is that what's really going on? Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Vlog. Now, in the past 3 years, Disney World's done away with a lot of the extra perks that made a Disney vacation feel special. And they've increased prices, making it a lot harder for people to not go into debt when planning a Disney trip. With all those charges, it almost seems like Disney doesn't care if you come to their parks or not, because there's someone who's going to pay that high fee or open a credit card to pay for their trip. So what's going on here? Is Disney making an effort to price people out of their parks, and will these trends continue? Well, it's looking like fewer people are visiting Disney World, and they're okay with that. Disney World, and specifically Magic Kingdom, is the most visited theme park in the entire world, with nearly 21 million people visiting the most magical place on Earth in 2019. But in the past few years, attendance has been down. Obviously, the park closures due to COVID had a big impact, not to mention that people were a little wary to head back to the petri dish of a theme park after they'd reopened. Magic Kingdom attendance hovered right around 7 million visitors in 2020, and while things have ticked up since then, we're only just starting to get back to the pre-COVID guest numbers. 2022 and 2023 both saw about 17 million visitors to Magic Kingdom, and while we don't have the numbers for 2024 yet, it seems that things are increasing a little bit. With the return of more conventions, youth sporting groups, and a general uptick in travel, Orlando Airport saw an 11% increase in traffic during spring break 2024 compared to 2023. Disney World's a bit busier this year, but probably not as busy as Disney would like. But they're still totally okay with that. Fewer guests are visiting Disney World, but they're spending a whole lot more. Even with fewer people visiting the parks, Disney's making money. In the Q2 earnings call back in May of 2024, CEO Bob Iger noted that the parks business grew 10%. And despite some big expenses in the Parks and Experiences department in the Walt Disney Company, notably opening a new cruise line destination, Lookout Key, and some pre-cruising expenses for 2 new cruise ships, Q3 still saw another 2% increase in revenue. So with attendance down by the millions, 4 million for Magic Kingdom alone since the highs of 2019, how are these parks making money? Upcharges and price increases. The plus-up trend. Disney's done away with lots of previously free extras that we had come to expect when we booked a Disney World vacation. No more free transportation to and from the airport, no more complimentary magic bands for hotel guests. Extra hours in the park for hotel guests have also been cut down from an hour to just 30 minutes. And perhaps the biggest free to paid service is Disney's Skip the Line service, which has gone by many names over the years. FastPass, then FastPass Plus were the free versions available to anyone visiting the parks, not just hotel guests. Then Genie Plus debuted with a $15 to $39 price tag. Then just a few months back in July 2024, the service changed again to Lightning Lane MultiPass, a system that takes some of the attributes of FastPass, like booking in advance, while pairing it with that upgraded price tag of Genie Plus. On top of that, you've also got some rides that are outside of MultiPass that must be booked as a single Lightning Lane, meaning another $9 to $25 if you'd like to skip the line at rides like Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. The range in those prices comes down to which park or which ride if it's a single pass, as well as how busy the parks are. Yep, you're paying surge pricing to skip those lines. A lot of people are very frustrated with all these pay-to-play upgrades that have come on the scene in the past 3 years. Totally warranted. But the bottom line is people are buying those upgrades, and as long as people are buying them, Disney's going to keep them around. With park attendance down, the goal is on making more money from each guest. Disney calls it yield. There are definitely more affluent Disney guests who won't bat an eye at shelling out at hundreds more dollars to skip lines, but it's not just the richy riches who are splurging here. According to a recent study by the financial services website LendingTree, 45% of parents taking their children under 18 to a theme park resort have taken on Disney-related debt. For comparison's sake, that's a 33% increase from 2022, when 18% of survey respondents said they'd acquired debt. Despite these numbers, most people told LendingTree that they had no regrets about taking the trip, and as long as people are willing to go into debt to pay for that Disney vacation, then those prices are going to stay where they are, or keep going up. Even if you're not splurging on Lightning Lane MultiPass, you're still going to be paying more in the parks because price increases are massively outpacing inflation. Finance Buzz recently published their findings from a study comparing Disney World price increases to the rate of inflation over time. Overall, they found that prices for some popular Disney World food items increased an average of 61% since 2014, while the rate of inflation was just 32%. That means that prices for Disney food have been increasing at almost double the pace of inflation. Compared to the park ticket price changes, food prices are increasing at a higher rate. Park tickets increased by 56% in the last 10 years, and they're going up again in 2025. If annual pass prices increased at the normal rate of inflation since they were first introduced in 1982, the Incredipass, the top-tier pass, should cost about $325 today instead of $1,449. So yeah, you're not imagining things. Disney World is way more expensive than it was just a few years ago. That may be driving some people away from visiting the parks for the time being, but things aren't expected to stay that way. Park attendance isn't the goal for Disney right now. Revenue is. They're very aware of travel trends and what they can expect in the coming months and years. Some of that is from their own data on number of hotel rooms already booked for their 2025 timeframe, and some of that data is from larger studies on where and when people are traveling. Disney expects they won't see a major increase in park attendance in the coming months. As a Disney exec commented, the lower income consumer is feeling a little bit of stress. The high income consumer is traveling internationally a little more. They expect these trends to continue for a bit longer. But Disney's pretty confident that they'll get you back in the near future. We'll dig into how they're going to do that in just a bit. So Disney isn't banking on just the price of Mickey bars increasing exponentially and people continuing to pay for lightning lanes to keep profits growing. It's baked into some of the company's longer-term goals for the parks as well. Disney is hyper-focused on Disney Vacation Club. This is for the same reason they're focused on all those other upgrades and paid options. They get a lot more money from a single guest or a single hotel room with Disney Vacation Club than if they opened another value resort. They haven't opened a new value resort since 2012 when Art of Animation opened. Disney's value resorts can be on the low end, $300 to $500 per night less than the deluxe Disney Vacation Club accommodations. While the potential for $100,000 plus more per year for a single hotel room isn't a drop in the bucket, it's not where Disney makes the most money on those types of hotels. Disney Vacation Club is Disney's timeshare program. They can offer up those rooms just like the rest of their hotel rooms, but they can also sell more real estate contracts every time they expand or open up new Disney Vacation Club properties. So they're basically getting paid for those rooms twice. They're selling them to people, and then they're also renting them out when those folks aren't staying there. And Disney Vacation Club isn't cheap. On the low end, you're looking at around $23,000 to buy in, and then you'll have annual dues of around $1,000 per year for the length of your contract. Different resorts offer different lengths of contract. They cap out at 50 years. If you were to buy into Disney Vacation Club at the Riviera Resort in 2024, at the minimum number of vacation points per year, 100 points, which can be used at any of Disney's properties for about a 3 to 5 night stay in a smaller room, and that contract lasts until 2070, you would end up paying around $143,000 to cover the course of the contract. Disney gets about $23,000 of that money up front, which helps to offset the cost of opening that new resort. And you're also locked into that contract, unless you sell it, which means you'll be visiting Disney for the next 46 years, and we know you'll be spending a lot more than just the money on that hotel room you've gotten through Disney Vacation Club. Disney's going to get more money out of Disney Vacation Club members than any other group, even pass holders, since they're only locked in for a year and could choose to stay elsewhere. Since this group is so lucrative for Disney, they're going to continue courting those folks who are willing to commit many thousands of dollars over 50 years, much more than they are even those high-yield one-time visitors. Because if you buy into Disney Vacation Club, even if you decide 20 years in, you're kind of done with Disney and you want to go somewhere else, the hassle of selling the contract and the cognitive dissonance of doing it might just be more than is worth it to you, and you'll just go back to Disney. Now, yes, you can use your points to travel to other countries and go stay in partner hotels in other places. That can be very expensive to use your points on, and Disney knows they'll probably get you back in the end. Now, speaking of pass holders, they're not the priority. Disney hasn't been very quiet about how they view annual pass holders in the past few years. When Bob Chapek was CEO, he had some pretty blunt things to say on the value of pass holders to the company. Quote, typically someone who travels and stays for 5 to 7 days is marginally more valuable to the business than someone who comes in on an annual pass and stays a day or two and consumes less merchandise and food and beverage, unquote. He also noted that pass holders use the parks, quote, as their personal playground, and reports were released citing the unfavorable attendance mix, i.e. more pass holders visiting the parks than is particularly profitable for Disney. Disney and current CEO Bob Iger have been a little less pointed in the past few years, but the lack of value when it comes to pass holders is still a driving sentiment in the direction of the company. Iger has still focused on managing capacity, a much more tactful way of saying they're going to make it a little more complicated or expensive for pass holders while prioritizing those once-in-a-lifetime big spender trips. Initially, after the parks reopened after the COVID closures, there was a park pass reservation system in place. This system was around until January of 2024, and now nearly everyone doesn't need to worry about reserving their spot in one of Disney's theme parks in advance. I say nearly everyone because on most days, annual pass holders still need to make those park pass reservations. The idea of restricting capacity more strictly when it comes to pass holders has been a point of contention. The Park Pass reservation system's limit on pass holder reservations spurred a lawsuit as it relates to Disneyland's Magic Key passes and a related lawsuit related to Disney World's pass holders. The Disneyland case was recently settled with a $9.5 million payout. Disney definitely doesn't dislike annual pass holders. They still get a lot of the same perks they've always had: free parking, hotel discounts, merch discounts, etc. But the perks for pass holders are pretty paltry compared to what Disney Vacation Club folks are getting. Sure, we all love a free magnet, but those little pop-up lounges at the back of Sunshine Seasons with specialty paid snacks aren't quite as exciting as the brand new DVC lounge coming to Magic Kingdom or the refurbished lounge in Epcot. The perks pass holders get are a drop in the bucket compared to how Disney courts Disney Vacation Club members, even though I know DVC members are getting fewer perks themselves as well. The value of an annual pass seems to be decreasing while the price is increasing, and pass holders are aware. Last fall, we polled our Instagram followers, and 27% said they were definitely not renewing their pass for 2024. Price is the big driver in that decision. If you're not living in Florida, you're stuck with the highest tier annual pass option costing $1,449 per year. But lack of value overall was a big reason people have decided not to renew. Disney has started implementing more good-to-go days, which are days where pass holders don't need to make park pass reservations, but it may take a bit more to regain the trust of those long-term pass holders who chose not to keep their pass this year. Again, this seems to be a much more favorable mix for the company when it comes to revenue, so don't expect any major pass holder perks to pop up anytime soon. One of the most controversial changes in recent Disney history is the massive overhaul of its Disability Access Services. Disney World's Disability Access Service, or DAS, has officially changed as of May 20th, 2024. Disney's Disability Access Service is a program that accommodates Disney World visitors and their families who have difficulty standing in extended queues due to a disability. With DAS, you can schedule a return time equivalent to the current standby wait for an attraction. Disney explains that DAS accommodates those who are unable to wait in a conventional queue for an extended period of time due to a developmental disability like autism or similar. None of those basics have changed, but the process of applying for and getting approved for the service has, and it has been met with a lot of criticism. Without getting into too much of the nitty-gritty here, the screening process is now a lot more robust, and Disney has partnered with Inspire Health Alliance to assist with its DAS approval process. Due to these changes, many people who were previously approved for DAS are no longer eligible, which has led to a lot of stress and canceled trips, and a general feeling among those who are no longer eligible that Disney doesn't want them at their theme parks. This is obviously a very complex situation. While the previously fairly lax approval process unfortunately led to the service being abused by people who didn't need it, this new setup also appears to be alienating and disadvantaging some people who do need it. Since the new approval processes are fairly new, there's a chance they are updated to better serve those eligible for the service. And if you think you may qualify for DAS or you have more questions, we highly suggest reaching out to Disney directly, as they will have the most up-to-date information and will be able to answer your questions. So let's lighten things up a little bit before we get into the future of Disney and what changes they might make to get you and your money back. No matter if you're an annual pass holder or a Disney Vacation Club member, Disney does not want your cash. They want you to spend money, but they'd prefer you to use a card or Apple Pay or your Magic Band to charge back to your room. But why? Well, 1, it means fewer employees that need to be on hand to sort, deal with, and deposit cash. 2, it makes for faster transactions, and it takes longer to accept cash and make change than it does to swipe a card, and all those transactions can add up to hours throughout the day. People are also more likely to spend more when they're not using cash. When the dollar bills are gone from your wallet, you have to stop. But if you can't see that dollar amount creeping up on your card, you might keep swiping. Overall, that means more revenue when a business goes cashless. People spend more, labor costs go down, and there's no cash to go missing. Now, you may still want to have some cash on hand for tips in case technology fails and card readers aren't working when you need that souvenir or to help yourself budget. And Disney might prefer cards, but they definitely still accept cash. So what if I still want Disney to want my money? Maybe you still want to go to Disney World, but you'd rather they not take all your money, or you'd like to avoid being in that 45% that goes into debt for their trip. Well, we've got some tips to help you keep some money in your pocket and get the most out of your trip even when prices keep rising. First up, only pay for the upgrades you need. There are a lot of extras you can splurge on when you go to Disney, and it goes way beyond just Lightning Lane Multipass, but you don't need to purchase any of them if you don't want to. We've got a video on the channel now ranking Disney's upgrades from best to do not buy to help you decide which ones might be a good investment and which ones are probably a waste of your money. You can also budget for food and souvenirs ahead of time. You can bring envelopes of cash budgeted in advance for souvenirs and food, or you can bring gift cards. Disney has reloadable gift cards, which can be a great way to help you stick to your budget. You can also link them at disneygiftcard.com so you can still have access to those funds even if you misplace your gift card. Now, several stores have discounted Disney gift cards as well. If you have a Target Red card, you can get 5% cash back on your Disney gift card purchases. So basically, you're getting 5% off your whole trip, or at least the part of it you pay for with gift cards. Also, find those discounts where you can. Although the food prices don't fluctuate based on the time of year, ticket and hotel prices do. You can save room in the budget by avoiding busy seasons like spring break and summer and the winter holiday season. February, early May, and September tend to be good times to go when crowds are a bit lower, and thus hotel and ticket prices are similarly subdued. Opt for those cheaper value resorts to save hundreds or thousands off your hotel room. And Disney frequently offers limited time and seasonal savings that can help you save big on tickets and hotel stays. We're talking up to 35% off with some of them. You can also opt to not stay at Disney World. There are loads of cheaper hotels nearby, plus VRBO and Airbnb rentals. Give yourself more time to save as well. Pace out your Disney vacation savings in a way that doesn't make you feel like you're drowning. Give yourself a year or two or as much time as you need that you're most comfortable with. There's no requirement that your kid must visit Mickey before they turn a certain age. And it's okay to take a breather from Disney as well. Step back, save up for a different vacation type, come back when you're ready to see the new stuff, and there's certainly a lot of new stuff coming. So will Disney try to get you and your money back? At the end of the day, Disney is a business that's trying to stay as profitable as possible following major changes in the travel industry during COVID-19. The changes they've implemented are helping the company's bottom line, but they'll only stick around so long as there's demand for all those paid services, which unfortunately it seems like there might always be a demand for them. There have been some moves that indicate Disney may be courting more people to return to their parks, though. Disney's been rather quietly rolling out some steeply discounted tickets. There are often discounts for Florida and California residents, but this summer, both Disney World and Disneyland saw broader ticket discounts. Disney World offered $89 per day tickets for 3-day access to Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios and Epcot, as well as a 4-day ticket that includes Magic Kingdom in the mix for $99 per day. And Disneyland also offered a 3-day ticket at $50 per child and $83 per adult per day. But it seems like Disney's playing the long game here. They're waiting for travel trends to shift and for more people to want to come back to the parks on their own. And when that demand swings back up, Disney's going to be ready with tons of new stuff. This downturn is expected, but the crowds coming back are also pretty expected, and there's a good chance a lot of those new land and ride openings coincide with a general increase in theme park travel. By the end of this year and beginning of next year, construction's going to begin on some major projects in Disney World. Cars Land is coming to Magic Kingdom, along with a Villains Land, plus a Pirates Tavern and new nighttime parade. Encanto and Indiana Jones are coming to Animal Kingdom, and a Monsters, Inc. coaster is coming to Hollywood Studios. Disneyland's getting an Avatar Land, new Avengers rides, and a new Coco ride, and that's just scratching the surface. We got a few videos out now digging into the details of these projects and their expected timelines, but it's safe to say that Disney is not sitting back and just raking in the cash. They're planning on breaking ground on some of the biggest projects in Disney Parks history to get more people back in the parks. So it's not that Disney doesn't want your money, but when there are fewer people visiting the parks, there's more of a focus on the value of each customer. Again, they call it yield. And unfortunately, that means that some groups are not viewed as very profitable compared to others. It certainly means we'll continue to see paid extras and upcharges as long as people are willing to shell out for them. And as long as Disney is providing new and exciting offerings, people will visit the parks and people will pay. Disney is and will always be an expensive vacation, but we're here to make sure you get the most from that money you spend and make sure you don't spend too much of it when you don't need to. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.